Hello there, welcome to another episode of the Allotment Dram. This is a series of short videos where we sit and talk about different whiskies in the surroundings of our North London allotment. You join me here today on a lovely, quite warm sort of mid-September afternoon. I've had quite a sort of warm patch the last sort of 10 days or so, including a couple of very warm days, but yeah, been lovely up here, and got on with quite a few jobs, starting to put the allotment to bed a little bit. Some of the beds are sort of settling down for the winter now, and so yeah, got on with quite a few things. But while that's all very interesting, I obviously am here to talk about whiskey. And what is the Allotment Dram today, I hear you ask? Well, it's very exciting, that's what it is, because not only is it a new whiskey, it's a new whiskey that's celebrating a new distillery, and it's the Glenmorangie Lighthouse, 12 years old. And I was very privileged to go to the new Glenmorangie Lighthouse distillery a couple of weeks ago and have a look around. Before it was even, there was still scaffolding up and everything. So, before it's even sort of going into production. So, what can I tell you? Obviously, Glenmorangie is a very famous brand, a very famous distillery. It's been up there in the North Highlands, just outside the village of Tain since 1843. And one of the leading single malt brands in the world, one of the leading Scotch whisky brands, and well known. But what they've decided to do, and particularly Dr. Bill Lumsden, who is the director of whisky creation there, basically put together plans some years ago to build an experimental distillery on the side, so that they could innovate and try different things while not taking away any production from the main distillery. And the main distillery is a big one, and it's 6 million litres a year, famously with its big tall 5 metre high stills, tallest stills in Scotland. But they didn't want to take away from that, but they still wanted to kind of push some boundaries. So Dr. Bill actually convinced them to sort of pump £8 million into this project, which has seen this sort of very new, eco-friendly, contemporary looking distillery sort of built on the side of the old still house. It's literally right next to it. So very, very exciting, because what they'll be doing is they'll be using not just malted barley, but they'll be using different cereals, different grains. They'll also be using different techniques, not just the traditional mashing that you see in Scotch whisky, but they'll be trying more sort of techniques like seen in America for the production of bourbon or rye whiskies. Also using different equipment. Once they've got replicas of the main stills in the new still house, which is this big tall glass building, and very, very impressive. And they'll be doing experiments through these stills, which are the same 5 metre tall, the exact replicas of the ones in the main still house. And connected to that is different ways of distilling as well. Different pipe work. They can put it through different bits of apparatus to get different types of spirits. So it's very, very exciting, very revolutionary, and very much sort of see it happening in one or two sort of smaller, these craft type distilleries. But really the first time I can think of one of the real big boys kind of having a proper stab at this sort of experimental innovation thing. So it'd be very interesting to see what Dr. Bill and the team there come out with, so I'm sure they'll want some products out of the lighthouse at the end of the day. But what can I tell you about this special release? Well, this is created by Dr. Bill, and he used 2 different types of cask, a bourbon cask. So there's 80% of what's in here is been matured in bourbon cask for 12 years, and then the other 20% has been in Oloroso sherry casks, also for 12 years, and then married together to create the flavour profile that he wants. So this will be exclusive just to the distillery visitor centre shop, so that's the only place you can get it. So as I say, I was very privileged to be up there and be able to grab a bottle while I was. So it's 48% and also non-chill filtered as well. But I think that's probably about it. Have I forgotten anything? Oh yeah, one thing, the casks that they used in this, the bourbon and these Oloroso sherry casks, they actually ground down and sent to the architect, and they're actually built within this sort of cladding that you can see from the outside of the building. So, you know, again, quite revolutionary, quite nuts actually. Yeah, love that. And there's what, 4,782 bottles of this. So, you know, not many, and only will be available at the distillery itself. So I think without further ado, we really should have a taste now. So I'm going to open it here, you know, just for you guys. So there we are. Oh, very good. Lovely golden colour, look at that. And we'll pop the lids back on straight away. There we are. So let's have a look at this. So yeah, lovely golden, look at that. Hint of sort of coppery sort of depth to it. But let's have a smell. Yes, lovely. There's lots of sort of honey, fresh honeycomb, some toffee, some caramel, some vanilla, bit of sort of crumbly brown sugar, some dried fruits as well, particularly raisins, sultanas definitely there. Little drip of orange oil as well. Very, very nice. And a little pinch of like cocoa powder and some baking spice as well. Let's have a taste. Just going to sip and savour that for a while. That is delicious. I mean, quite classic Glenmorangie actually. You know, this is why when I was talking to Dr. Bill, he was saying that he only put 20% of Oloroso cask in the marriage, because, you know, he didn't want to overpower that really light, delicate, quite fruity, floral, fragrant spirit that you get out of these big tall stills, and really come into fruition there. I mean, considering it's 48%, you know, it's so creamy, so soft, almost quite gentle. Loads of this sort of honey and vanilla coming through. Little bit of almost like creamed coconut, I think, is probably adding to that that mouth feel as well. But yeah, and then this dried fruit just adds a little bit of juiciness. You know, big plump sultanas, bit of raisin, bit of candied orange peel as well. Yeah, I think we definitely need to have another taste, just to make sure. That's a stunner. I mean, I could probably wax lyrical for double the time than I'm going to about this. It's lovely oranginess now, going with that honey, vanilla. It's a little bit of butterscotch sauce, something like that. And then as time goes by, you've got a bit of, it's like warm ginger cake. You've then got some of these spices, like some oak spices, so it gives this slight sort of dryness on the side, but also some like cinnamon and these sort of baking, you know, these warming baking spices. Yeah, it's very, very delicious. I have to say, well done to Dr. Bill for that. You know, if you're up in that area of the North Highlands, you know, about what, 45-50 minutes drive north of Inverness, if that, you know, swing by and pop in, grab yourself a bottle of this. It's £85. You know, obviously a bit toppy for a 12-year-old, but you know, you've got to think of the rarity of this and what it's celebrating as well. So, you know, and the strength, 48%. So, you know, very, very good. I mean, I'd urge you to get up there and grab a bottle. But that's probably about it from myself and the Glenmorangie Lighthouse 12-year-old. We will probably let you get on with whatever you were doing before you found this video. And thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon for another Allotment Dram. Take care. Cheers.